Hello, 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 everybody. Hey, guys, how's it going? Hello, hello. Uh, Mark, hello.
Hello there.
Oh my God, there's someone in Fire Emblem like Engage. I think it's one of the I think it's the Armory dude. He'll just say like, "Hey there," and it's like
Hey there.
it's that exact same tone. Hello there,
Hello there.
Divine Dragon.
Divine Dragon.
Yes, it's me. All right, guys. Hey, guys, how's it going? My name is Justin,
Mark.
and you're watching and are listening to episode 450 of DangIT Prodcast. Welcome back, everybody. We're here. We got some stuff that just went down this past week. But first of all, Mark, how have you been?
Been good. How you been?
I'm doing good. I just went and did some shopping like earlier today. It was about time for me to kind of like tweak my wardrobe a little bit. So got more chinos and another thing of jeans. But it's all part of this progressive thing of me just kind of like upgrading everything as far as my presentation. Obviously, I'll just be in here like with t-shirts, but when I'm just walking about, it's like, oh, he's got something else going on. But yeah, that's kind of like what I've been doing in the back as well, and of course doing the whole like game pickup stuff. Speaking of which, I got something over here as well. It may or may not be related. It's related to Mario Day, which was actually yesterday. But bunch of other stuff that's been going on this past week, other than just Mario Day. We actually got something earlier this week. Just a little quick input here because I saw it. It was like the first thing I saw, like I think on Monday, and I was like, "Whoa, that's actually really cool that they decided to go with this." It's another Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie. I think it's called TMNT, Mutant Mayhem. They went with the bold like animation approach to it as far as that art style of it. Like I don't know how to like specifically describe it, and I don't like pointing out and connecting it to like Spider-Verse, but it really feels like it takes a lot of points from that too. Just as how I feel the same way. A lot of people feel the same way about like Puss in Boots. Just taking a lot of cues from that. But I really like what they went with that one. So looking forward to that. I think it comes out in August. So yeah, definitely look forward to that. Let me see. Oh, so I almost forgot the fact that from permanent teenager Seth Rogen. I was like, what? But yeah, they just went with that. Let me see. Actually, the following day, this was kind of like under the radar for me personally, but some stuff with Xbox actually. Paradox Interactive was teaming up with Xbox. They showed like an array of games that like they're working on. Um,
Yeah, I was mostly focused on the Stellaris stuff.
yeah, I was gonna say like there's a couple of things that like you and Gabe would also like be like big on.
Gabe's all about a lot of Paradox games.
Yeah. I just kind of listen to them as such. What was it, Europa Universalis?
That's
Uh,
something that Gabe's gonna be all about.
yeah, I think he talked about that in great length. I think I remember. I'm pretty sure it was a podcast where he talked about it like in gross detail, and I was over here just like, you could have sworn that a fly like went inside my mouth
It's Europa Universalis is the probably the hardest one
to get into.
in terms to play.
All right, fair enough. I mean, like,
Very difficult game.
just a game for anyone like out there, you know. I was looking at Lamplighters League, and the Tower of the Underworld. Say that caught my attention, not too much, but like I did see like a trailer of that one. Knights of Pen and Paper 3 was actually like something that like I was kind of like intrigued by, considering the fact that it's like I would assume the third installment. But apparently there's a little bit more behind that too, in the sense that like they used to like be like an all like inclusive type of game like from its release, but I think now they've been kind of going into like what's the word for it, but like as a live service thing, as far as like having some paid stuff like included into it, or like microtransactions. That's the word. I don't know too much about the details about that, but I just saw like Knights of Pen and Paper. And I was like, that actually looks pretty cool. It's like the way they present it, it's like similar to just having like a D&D session, but like it's just like in the middle of like a turn-based like sequence of just like a bunch of people like sitting at a table, and then like behind them is just the actual like mob monster you're fighting against. So I was like, oh, I actually kind of like that presentation of that. But and of course they talked about like the big one that I know Gabe definitely is all about, but City Skylines 2.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I wonder if he ever got word. I'm pretty sure he got word of that. But I think there was also an announcement like later on, like in the middle of the week, about Starfield actually. You know, I haven't really been keeping up with that one, so I didn't remember exactly when that release date was set to. But there's a direct happening for Starfield like for June 11th. I think a lot of people were just talking about the initial delay for the game. Man, that's what caught me off guard. And then I think the big thing that happened this past week was really on the 9th, like just before Mario Day. It was actually the Mario movie trailer, like the final trailer they're saying, and a Capcom showcase, both of which I'm gonna have to admit I haven't really checked them out yet. I was gonna try to do like a reaction like recording for it, but I didn't really have time to like between like then and now to do it. So I'll probably do it like after the podcast. But I have seen a couple of things so far. Namely, a lot of people memeing about like Mario running like Sonic, which I mean, that's a whole talk within and of itself. And of course, like I think the big thing I've seen, which was Fire DK, which is like that's dope. Then also that's kind of accurate and consistent. That everyone gets like a power up when they consume the flower or anything. And of course, Capcom had a showcase. I think the biggest thing was probably Resident Evil 4. They had a demo that dropped the same day, which is available on like all the applicable platforms. It had some crazy like chainsaw mode, which is like unlocked just randomly each time you're like you reset the game. And you choose to opt out of it, but it's just one of those like really tough challenges that a lot of people are just kind of going through. And apparently Capcom's got a thing going on, like if you were to share them, you clearing through chainsaw mode, you might be opted into some kind of like whatchamacallit, I'm not sure. I think maybe some kind of collector's edition. And I think there was some talks about this is all like offhand, I haven't even like looked into it. About like the collector's edition or complete edition, what have you, from other retailers like maybe backing out of that just so they can do something like this. I'm not entirely sure. So more stuff to look into for sure. But the fact is that that demo is readily available, and people's engagement and response to the game so far is pretty stellar, to the point where it might just be game of the year again. Resident Evil 4 getting game of the year again. Yeah, that's super cool. I might actually get into like that game, and then as a response, every other game we're seeing before it. I might be one of the few who, well, not maybe one of the few, but I'll just be one of the folks who will just be getting into it as the remakes and not necessarily like the classics. I know I was playing through Resident Evil 3 like remake, like that was the most recent experience I had with it. And I was thinking that like the gameplay is like pretty solid, I would say. I played like Resident Evil 5 prior to that, and you know, it's as you can see, there's a trend. It was more like action, like pack orientated versus like actual like horror like focused stuff. But I think Resident Evil 2 remake is a good marriage between those two. So if I had to go with anything, I should probably go with that one. But of course I'll also like look into like Resident Evil 1. But that's a lot of games to look into. So we'll see how that plays out. But yeah. And then of course Mario Day was like literally yesterday. And also the fact is that the Mario like Kart 8 like additional like courses got unlocked as well. I don't have the entire list in front of me or memorized, but I will let you know that I believe it's Singapore. That slaps as far as the tracks. It also might just be my favorite track of the DLC too. So I'm just gonna put that out there. It was a lot of fun last night. We were playing myself, Phil, Sephi, and we were just doing that like pretty much until like Sephi had to go to bed, and then Phil and I did some co-op in a quote unquote co-op in well, I guess it is just co-op in with a Super Mario World, which is probably like my favorite like Mario game like within the entire line of like 2D like platforms. So it's us like playing back and forth as Mario, Luigi respectively, and we just tackle like whatever like levels that we choose to go. So we were just kind of working on that, and we might actually continue that later on. But yeah, that's pretty much it as far as like everything quickly wrapped up. But yeah, I think there was also some other stuff going on in like the other, on the other side of like as far as like news about like anime and manga. But I think I was talking about it, about Attack on Titan for just a hot second. We didn't talk about it like during the podcast, but just seeing the episode, like it's literally the first episode of like their part 2. I don't
The hour-long episode.
It was. I'm gonna be honest. This is a little biased too. I think it was perfect. I think it was perfect.
Eh?
They just knew the right music to use. Like at this point, you're so connected to the characters. At this point, that like obviously a hunch, and that was really unfortunate. But the way that they like tied that up in a knot was so like poetic, and you were bawling your eyes out while it was all happening.
Pretty much. And
then like afterwards, the whole ordeal and like the motivation of like our characters now versus Eren, they set up to be like really hype where they left it off. So I was like, oh, let's go.
Let's go.
Man, dude. And on a side note, I absolutely love the fact that Levi despises the Beast Titan so much. Obviously,
blame him?
Now for more reason, right? He always just didn't like him, but now he has a really good reason.
Oh, he's got a very good reason.
Mm-hmm. It made me feel sad though, because like Levi, obviously, since like his appearance has always been like the most reliable character to get things done, and Zeke did a good number on him since then. And that shot of them like before they left, and it shows him like gearing up, and the fact that he really couldn't move like some of his fingers is like, oh my god, dude. But you see him, he's still in it.
He ain't given up yet. He's like, hey, don't get it twisted. I may be hurt right now, but don't think I can't still fight.
Mm-hmm. And now with Armin being like the head commander now, I just said like, Levi's now your underling, so make sure you make him work for it. I was like,
don't
damn.
remind me of Hanji's send off.
But
you gotta remind me of that pain.
It was just so well done. Obviously, it's one of those things where it's like you wish something different could have happened, but the way she like went off was just. It was perfect.
Levi's. See ya, Hanji. I'm just like, ah.
I saw like a thumbnail of her, like early on, like within the seasons, and I was like, man, dude, she looked like much younger too. So, God, it sucks. She's been around for a while. She had like a very unique side to her, but like when she pushes that aside, like she's like the most serious you could ever need like any of those characters to be. It's such a shame. But man, dude.
She gave herself to take out a couple of those Titans.
It was very impressive. Which makes me wonder, like, I guess it would have taken a long time to like deal with all the Titans like that, but I think a good number would have been dealt with if it weren't for the fact that they all give off like that steam.
Yep.
And just like now I'm starting to think about like in hindsight, like could they have developed something that could have been like more heat resistant like that, or was that just like an impossibility?
You need like an entire bodysuit.
Yeah. And I guess they had other focuses aside from that, since a lot of them don't really come into contact like that. God, oh no, I'm not sure if I should say it because I know you're in the feels for it, but it's the fact that like when we see Armin bawling his eyes out after witnessing that, like, he knows that. It's like, bruh, you're right. That first-hand experience was something else.
Well,
And
yeah, you know what because he's
yeah,
like, well, I've been there
he's been burnt down to like his.
to a crisp,
Mm-hmm.
and it was still alive, barely,
He
but
was
still
yeah, he
alive.
was barely alive. Like you couldn't even recognize him.
He just looked extra crispy.
Yeah. And then when I think about that, I think about how like Aaron was back then. He was so desperate to like bring him back to life, give him like a chance to become a Titan as well. And how he behaved versus how he is now is so different because he had not like quite witnessed everything, which is also
Hey,
a crazy thing too.
it's been a huge character. It's been a huge character thing for Aaron.
Yeah, like ever since he made contact, like and he witnessed all the memories, like
He's also gonna remember all the things he's seen that he hasn't told anybody about.
yeah. And oh my god, it's so wild when I think about that too, because obviously he was okay, but once he got all the memories, like we've seen it, like he was shook, and he had to sit with that.
Oh yeah, because that's the power of the Attack Titan is, you know, essentially is in a sense time travel in a sense.
Yeah, in sense of just simply inheriting the memories like of previous users and
And
himself.
there's the thing. They know that it's not even just the previous. They also know the future.
Yeah, they all it's a shared connected conscience on like the whole time frame of like back then versus even the future. It was I can't yeah, it's no wonder he's so unstable.
It's because he knows what has to happen.
Yeah. And like I think that's how it's well done on their part as far as like the storytelling of it because when like in the beginning of like the final season like when they took out like the Warhammer Titan and they just like they make it back and then Aaron's like in a cell and he's like looking into himself and he's just telling himself like you gotta fight, keep fighting. And it's like, what is he doing? He was literally psyching himself up to do
He's
what he
trying
needs. Yeah, he had to psych himself up to do exactly what he needs to do later on.
Oh yeah, he's got to. It's thing. He's got to gas himself up, or else he's not gonna be able to do it.
Yeah, and I think this like recent episode also helps to do that too, because it literally was just like that time where they just like did their reconnaissance, and like obviously like they're not well known like within the public, so they're just walking around. Aaron sees like in the hallway like this poor kid getting beat up because he was stealing some stuff, and he was like, I shouldn't really, because he already knows like I shouldn't really intervene because I'm gonna kill literally everybody here. So why should I? And he proceeds to do it. He still has humanity in him, but
He's
like
got a heart.
yeah, but then like you break down when you like he sets him down. The kid's like, "Oh, thanks, Mister," and he's just like, "I."
Falling.
He like lets loose all of his emotions. He's like, "I'm so sorry. I wish things were so different, but that world that like Arbor and I envisioned, I was so disappointed. I just wanted to wipe everything away." And like, and
That's why. That's how you know That's how you know he was holding everything in because he let it out with that kid. He's just like, I'm so fucking sorry.
oh my god. Whoa. It's such an emotional like road trip, and I think that's kind of like, and it doesn't really fully explain it, but it's kind of the reason why I kind of like shows like ReZero, where it's like it's like so like provoking for the character to be put in these situations, like that feels so out of their control, and like there's a level like reflection that they have to do, but sometimes they can't really accomplish it, or they come to their own like conclusions that you as the viewer will be like, oh, that's kind of extreme.
But you also, but that's why people say that. I'm like, yes, but you also have to remember, Aaron probably knows whatever the best option for the future to go to. He's probably doing what has to be done.
Right.
Granted, it's still a horrible thing, of course,
Yeah.
but definitely a horrible thing, and his friends are not wrong for trying to stop him at all. In
Hmm.
fact, that's probably a part of it.
Yeah, I think that's the part that he's kind of letting happen because as they like our characters are smart enough to really perceiving that we can use our Titan powers and Aaron can literally stop that. So why is he
Yeah,
not doing that? And
he could quite literally snap his fingers and stop you.
yeah, Aaron like reasons that like that's their freedom. He would never try to infringe on that because
Which
that's
is also true to Aaron's character.
yeah. Because he's been saying since like the whole time skip that like he really cherishes them. He wants them to like live free, to have that level of freedom that like him and like Armin always wanted. What he wanted.
And it's also like what he's wanted his entire life is freedom.
So he essentially tells them like, you guys get to do what you guys got to do. I'm gonna keep doing what I do, and I'm just gonna keep walking forward. It's tough though because he really is trying to shoulder like a lot of like the consequences in order to achieve this as like the seemingly the only option.
And he has to appear cold and not caring, even though on the inside you know he's fucking dying.
Yeah, and I think at the end of the day, no matter what the outcome is, I kind of have an idea of like what that ending is, but it's something where like if Aaron like succeeds, like no one would ever like step on them ever again, just because like that like why would we ever want to do that against like probably the most powerful like being like in that world? But if he loses, then like there's a good amount of damage. There's already fear instilled on a grander scale to know that like this could happen again, and people will just be hands off. But Aaron's friends will be considered heroes for doing that, and it will change the reputation in that way too.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like regardless of what happens, like Aaron has accepted the fact that like no matter what happens, my friends are gonna be okay. We will achieve. Yeah, it's like, geez, dude. The bro's been sacrificing too much. And I think I'm trying to remember there was something else. I mean, essentially, I'm just going through the same like cycle of like animes to watch here and there.
I mean, like coming up in because a lot of things are premiering in April.
Mm-hmm.
A lot is starting in April.
Uh-oh. I think I'll actually look into it.
We're getting the second season of Demon Slayer, as you know.
Oh, yes, let's go.
We're getting the third season of Dr. Stone.
Oh, yes, let's go.
We're getting the Megumin spinoff for Konosuba.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Oh, okay, that's cool.
We're getting Mashle, Magic and Muscles, which I'm like, yes.
All right, let's go.
I'm excited for the other ones too, but Mashle, this is the first time it's ever getting an anime, so I'm especially like, yes.
That's good.
And we're getting Eden Zero season 2.
Oh, yes, nice.
Let's see. We're getting Witch from Mercury.
Oh my god. You know, that's something I need to like actually like catch up on. Cause man, dude, I know about like that moment that happens is like, oh my god.
Oh, the one that I told you about?
Yeah, it's like
it's absolute pain.
Man, that just messes with you. It's like, oh, look how like it starts and like hard cut.
Hard cut. Oh hey, look, war crimes.
Tell me you're insane without telling me you're insane. It's like, whoa.
Well, I mean, I don't know if it's I don't think it's as much that as much as it is. It's the cruel reality of war.
Mm.
It's not a pretty sight.
I think, well, no, I think it's understandable. Like as far as like what needs to be done in war, it's just like
it's you or them.
It's like how she reflects on it.
Yeah, because I mean, that's the thing about war. It's at the end of the day, it's you or them.
Well, yeah, it's I think it's how they portray like the character after, like immediately afterwards. It's like, all right, and she's like super chipper about it, and the other girl's like, what the? Why did?
Oh yeah, at that moment, she was like way too carefree. I was like, hold up.
Hold on.
It's like I was like, I get what you mean. You just went through that talk with your mom. Calm down.
Mm-hmm. Man, that was wild. But yeah, no.
She had a similar reaction to that girl right before that happened, but her mom talked to her.
Oh, okay.
But as you can see, we definitely we eaten in this season.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's right, that is getting an anime.
Mm.
Uh, Rokudo no Ontachi. I know I've seen it before.
Mm.
I've read the manga. I've read the manga a little bit. Rokudo is a loser, and everyone knows it. He is elected in school, receives malicious looks from passers-by, and can only muster the courage to complain in a secret with his equally unhappy friends. Seeking to change his life, he desperately uses an ancestral artifact transmitted in his family for generations.
Huh?
A scroll that is able to subdue all demons. However, in the modern age, it has a different effect. It causes
Mm.
it causes all bad girls to fall in love with it.
Oh Lord.
And then things go ballistic when he meets the delinquent beast on a girl's body, Himawari Rana, who hopelessly falls deep for him.
I don't even know what to say about that. It's just,
I read
ooh.
a little bit of the manga.
I mean, I guess we'll see. I don't know exactly like that full premise. I don't think I've really heard of it. Um, I'll tell you this. It's only just like random promos that get shown off like here and there, for me. But there was, my God, there was a promo video. It was another isekai. You probably already know what it's gonna be, but it's that dude who like turned into a vending machine.
Yeah, the vending machine.
Yeah. I mean, it does a good job as far as like making me like think like how does this really pan out for like this specific piece of technology just showing up in what's equivalent to the Middle Ages, and people just don't really know
I
how to work with that.
I mean, with all the isekais getting animes right now, I'm waiting to see. They'll probably do it once it has more chapters. I think Time Stop Brave is probably going to get an anime.
Hmm.
I was surprised. I was like, "Oh, this might get an anime," because I was in Barnes and Noble and I was like, "Oh my God, it's printed in English now."
Hmm.
I was like, "Well, if this gets up traction, it might get one."
I think another thing that's shown up a little bit. Well, actually, it's not really much. It's just like something that's been happening in the previous like season. But like Don Machi, the whole "Is it wrong to pick up a girls in dungeon" title.
Well, hasn't that been going on for like
It's
four
been going
seasons?
on, and you know, this like the episode I'm thinking about right now, it already happened like a week or so back. It gets dark in that one, like quite so. It's actually like pretty depressing even for my standards too.
Even for my standards, you're like, and I love ReZero.
And I love ReZero, but like, my God, dude.
Oh, hold on 1 second. Be right back.
Okay, I guess what I can also talk about that isn't like really too much like significance until we see like after the fact, but obviously we know that Pokemon like the animes, as far as Ash's journey is coming to a close for a little bit, for like who knows how long it's going to be like coming back later on, but we already know about like the new like characters, right? And I think as of this past like week they unveiled like 4 other like cast characters that are part of a team with this professor who's going to be, I think he's going to be traveling alongside like our 2 main pro tags. I think Leica and then Roy. I remember their names, but it just showed like those characters with like their respective partner Pokemons, except for like this old dude who doesn't seem to actually have like a partner Pokemon. We'll see, but I am curious about it. I wonder how they're going to distinguish it, or like will it really just be kind of like of the same like style in essence as like Pokemon anime as we know it, just without Ash. I think it makes it consistent, at least makes it part of the same universe, but I'm really wondering how they're gonna make it I guess different, distinguished. Obviously it's like still like a kid show, so some things and charms will still like carry over, but yeah, it's interesting. Just the whole fact that Ash is not the main pro tag is already enough like crazy to think about. Um I mean, that's actually part of like the new stuff that are like that's showing up. I'm trying to see what other things are popping up as far as new things. Oh, you know what? There was. Oh wow, you know what? It's about Naruto actually. I just saw it. But there's things going on as far as hold on. I just had it. I'm kind of like looking at headlines right now. Oh yes, it was Naruto's like for the 20th anniversary. They're gonna have like 4 new episodes, kind of like part of I think of the reboot, which will be interesting because as far as like the promo that they're showing for the reboot for Naruto, it pretty much covers all the way up to Sasuke's retrieval, or at least hints at that. So that's pretty much the entirety of like Naruto, like as far as like the end before like time skips happen.
Time skips. What about time skips?
Oh yeah, no, I was there's an announcement about like Naruto having like its 4 episodes.
Yeah, there's a whole controversy going behind that right now.
Is there? Because I was just simply talking about like how um it's 4 episodes slated for September it seems. But like the actual like illustration that they have like shows the Sasuke retrieval like team. So it's really just trying to cover every basis of it. So it's like, whoa.
Yeah, I remember Chibi reviews. He made a joke. He made a joke about like, man, Boruto was so bad that Naruto had to come back to save it.
Not entirely wrong from my perspective. I see it, and it's like obviously it's a celebration of Naruto, but
And
Boruto's I mean, it's starting to get better, I think, with Boruto because they're now focusing on the key story elements.
but he made that joke, and yeah, did people get mad?
I mean, yeah, I understand. I understand like why they get
Like,
mad, but
like legit. It was mostly about Naruto. Then, like the last 30 seconds of the video, he joked about Boruto, and next thing you know, somebody's like, "I don't know
I
about y'all, but I'm not listening to this word I can't say that look like this talk more than 25 milliseconds." They said he looks like a pedophile. I was like, bro, what the fuck?
yeah, that's messed up, but some people get defensive about it.
And then like everyone said, well, Chibi also messed up because he made a video about people like fucking being assholes to him.
Hmm.
I was like, ah.
It's
I,
it's rough
I was
out.
like, Chibi, I understand wanting to respond, but it's usually better not to.
I agree. Yeah, just it's hard because like that's the moment you give in and you like give a little bit of leeway or leverage with them. It's tough, but you kind of like that's kind of been the space for content creation.
It's like I get it. I get wanting to respond. I really do. However, it ain't worth it.
Yeah, you just gotta like there's a level of reflection that you'll need to do if you see like a pattern to it, and it's up to you to really determine like whether like you want to take this approach or not. But usually responding negatively is not always the answer. Well, actually, just isn't the answer.
Oh, speaking of manga and anime news, like manga, like did you check out Beat in Motion?
I don't think I've heard of that one.
It's the one I showed to you in Anaya.
Hold on. Let me rewind my brain real quick. Oh no, it's grayed out. But I remember that you did share something.
Yep, still not there.
No, it's like it's file not found.
I mean, if you go just go to Viz and look at Beat in Motion.
I got a 404 error.
404 error. This file does not exist.
Beat in motion.
Yeah.
Alrighty. I just okay. Alright, I'm gonna look at it up through Viz, please. Is it just the manga or?
Yeah, just the manga.
Okay. Oh, no, actually, I'm probably thinking of like another manga that you showed. Okay, that's
Because I recommended it to you in Anaya specifically.
interesting. Like, I don't really have like any recollection of seeing or hearing about this one,
My man saw
except for the other one.
My man said, "Mark's got a message." Meh, I'll look at it later.
That probably was what happened. No, I probably skipped over.
Not even offended. If anything, it's funny.
All right, fair enough. As long as you're not offended by it.
Classic Justin.
I think no, I just remember like you shared another show. And that's when I said like 12 chapters. 12 chapters on that one. And we'll see.
That was Jiangxi X.
Yeah. Was that recommendation for Beat in Motion like following afterwards? Because
Yes,
okay.
it was.
Okay. Ooh, alrighty. I'm now creating new like branching pathways in the timeline.
Neurons are firing.
Neurons are firing and they're being put to work.
Jiangxi X is picking the fuck up.
But I will say that like well, obviously this is just like the cover art for Beat in Motion, so I have to actually like take a look at the actual chapter page itself, but did like the illustration on that one. So
Oh yeah, I recommended it to you and Anaya because honestly, I felt like you two, especially as creators, I felt like you guys would especially very much enjoy it.
mm-hmm. And you know what, like I'm still relatively like fresh off of Bocchi the Rock, so I mean I see music involved here and I'm like, whoa. All right.
I feel for a lot of people who do content creation, I feel like a lot of them will truly like really appreciate what Beat in Motion brings to the table.
Got you.
So I feel like it'll be very relatable to a lot of people.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's
I think this has the potential to be something special for essentially what it's doing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's kind of like how, say, with a lot of manga and like a lot of artists who are inspired by manga, a lot of them, one manga that they usually especially love? Bakuman.
Mm.
Which is literally about making manga.
I'm surprised, well, maybe not as surprised, but there was one anime I decided just to pick up, but obviously I kind of dropped off for a little bit, but it's still going. It's Blue Box. It's kind of like that slice of life type of thing where it's like
a friend of mine mentioned Blue Box. I was like, oh yeah, Blue Box, that's a thing.
Yeah, it's all right so far. It's really just playing off of like the potential romance between these two folks, and like due to those like circumstances, like their relationship is like allowed to grow quite a bit than average connections would.
He loves badminton. She loves basketball.
They live together now. It's so crazy. And they have to hide it. Well, I mean, they don't have to, but you know. He likes her. She kinda does.
It is what it is.
It is what it is. Yeah, I think that's all I got so far. As far as like coverage over there. There's also a lot on that front as well.
I've also been reading Dorobu-chan, which is essentially translates to Burglar-chan.
Burglar-chan.
It's actually despite what it sounds, it's actually a very cute and funny little romance.
All right, you know what? That's usually the play that they got to go by. Something that like immediately like catches your attention, but it's like, oh wait, take a look at this.
Like if you Google Burglar-chan, you're gonna see the cover and be like, oh, she's so cute.
Oh, I'm obviously just kind of like on the outside perspective of things, but as far as the shonen like side things, I hear that Jujutsu Kaisen is getting like a little crazy right now.
Oh, that's an understatement.
So, be that as may, it's
been wild.
I'm just leave that out there.
Oh, it's been fucking wild.
Let me see. Oh sure, there was something else I wanted to bring up. Oh yeah, you know what? We didn't talk about this. It's literally happened the day after our previous podcast. We were talking about I'm not sure how it like led to it, but you were talking about like if Dragon Ball like Z Budokai Tenkaichi got like a remake or of some sort. And then like literally the day after we got something. The stars aligned.
I was screaming. I was yelling.
I thought that was wild news. People responded like quite positively on that one.
Dude, I was screaming, kicking, and bouncing my legs up. Like, yes!
It's time.
It's good, dude. It's been 16 years.
16 years. Well, here's hoping.
Everybody was popping the fuck off.
Here's hoping for the best. A lot of people
It
were.
looks so good.
Yeah. What's weird though is like a lot of people were well, it seemed like there was quite a bit of memes about that versus like the response on like Naruto Storm's collection. But like obviously you and I both know like there's a huge distinction between that and like a whole new Budokai Tenkaichi. Where it's like
Everyone said, I remember like Mighty Keith's skit. He used to skit about how everyone rushed into Tenkaichi 4, and like it's so positive and everyone's hype, and then you just see at the end, it's like not like those poor Naruto fans that got done dirty.
this is true. But I mean like it's kind of out of their hands. Cause it's just one of those things where it's like it's probably CyberConnect 2 just having one last hoorah with the Naruto series, and also just kind of bringing it up to like modern ports. But it really is just bringing that in there, and there's not enough content if they're just doing this like chronologically wise as far as the story, because you have to bring in Boruto as well, and there may not be enough substance to make a whole game about that per se. It would be kind of cool to see that, but you know.
And people are already putting out their wish lists for Tenkaichi 4.
Yeah, like it's one of those things where people are theorizing like how many characters should be, like who exactly should be there.
Oh, I say everybody.
Obviously, that'd be like a great thing. I think I'd start off with just like bring in some of the super cast because,
well, obviously that's a given.
Yeah, because it'd be really cool to see like them in translations to like a Budokai Tenkaichi like scene, and then you can like focus on like the returning cast.
Oh, because no, I see what I'm saying is you want to go to Super, and I think even better, go to the stuff that's not even animated yet. Do that. Now, and on top of that, especially, like think about this. If this is Budokai 4, you got to go big or go home. You got to bring everything. Even take things from Super Dragon Ball Heroes. Bring that shit in.
Mm-hmm. For sure, they're not working with like restrictions like Smash Brothers was. You don't have to worry about that much licensing. You can get those characters. It's about just
bring it all in.
It'll be interesting to see that. I mean, I think Xenoverse, though, it's kind of different from that. Kind of like helps bring in that potential, like to see like what could this actually look like on like modern platforms. And granted, Xenoverse 2 has been like around for a while, so
yep. Still getting support 7 years later.
Mm-hmm. Which is crazy.
Yeah. On top of that, you also got to remember of what else there is right there, because this will be running on Kakarot's engine, as we saw.
Yeah, which is really good too.
And it looks beautiful.
Kakarot, by the way, is also getting updates too.
Yes, it is. And I mean, just the engine for Budokai 4 running on Kakarot's engine, it looks so pretty.
And
it's gonna be. They know announcing this, there's gonna be huge expectations.
I mean, it has to.
Like, it's the biggest part. Here's the thing, because keeping the gameplay the same will not be hard at all.
Yeah.
It's very not hard to keep that in and improve upon it. Like,
I was gonna say, would they want to keep it exactly one to one, or would they want to?
I wouldn't diverge too much from the original formula.
Mm-hmm.
I would say you're welcome to add in like quality of life features, like maybe a lock-on camera.
Fair.
That might be fair for a lock-on camera. I think that could be appreciated.
Mm-hmm.
But I do not think you should change the main combat too much. I think you should keep the main combat relatively, maybe increase combo potential with more combos.
Maybe.
But other than that, I wouldn't do too much to drastically change the game, because 1 through 3, especially like when you played that, it's like I played it the other day. I'm like, it's still really fun. It's aged really well. It's a little dated, but it's aged really well.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that if you keep that gameplay style the same, just make it up to the modern, just like touch it up so that it fits in the modern era in terms of the control schemes and everything. Oh, it'll be perfect.
Mm-hmm. I think it's about like the expectations of like games these days. because that's what I was starting to like feel when they were showing more gameplay for Resident Evil remake or 4 remake, where like if you've been keeping up, it's one of the things that they change up is the fact that you can parry a lot of attacks, well, weapon attacks, not grabs. uh Initially I was like, what the, that was in the other game, like, is that a good, well, actually in hindsight that actually is a good idea. You know what?
It's also that one of the big things that makes Tenkaichi also really good
Mm-hmm.
is just the attention to detail. Like I hope you know, like I don't know if you know this or not, but the
Probably
thing
not
is,
actually, but go ahead.
100% health, 100% health, you look completely normal.
Mm-hmm.
50% health, all right, you look battle damaged. 10% health, my God, you look fucked up.
My god, you're at the end of the saga.
And not only that, it's also the fact of, take this for example.
Mm-hmm.
If we're on the world tournament stage
Yeah.
and I kick Kid Goku off the side and he's over the grass, guess what? He's doing what he did in the series. He's using his tail as a propeller.
That's funny.
It's like, I love that attention to detail.
No, I actually do like that. That's a nice touch. I totally forgot about that too.
And there are certain moves that will actually absolutely erase the character you're up against. Like, they're just gone.
Uh,
Like when you use your ult on them and you take out all their health, they just vanish. So it's basically like you just eviscerated
yeah,
them.
you destroyed them. There's no knockout. You're gone.
Yeah, exactly. That's where I was like, again, Tenkaichi has such a great thing when it comes to attention to detail. You could tell that they really wanted to get it just right.
Yeah.
And I think that because it's the thing, a lot of people are really passionate, as you see, when it comes to the Tenkaichi series. Is because I don't know if you played them at all growing up, but I did,
Mm.
and it's like I played all of them. I had all of them.
I was
Like,
definitely the one to watch for sure. I was
oh no, dude,
watching. Yeah,
I played all of them.
I watched and I thought like Budokai 3 was like so clean.
Budokai 3 slaps.
I wasn't so sure about like Tenkaichi, but I did like that opening though.
The Tenkaichi openings always slap.
But now that I
But
look at it like with a new lens, it's just like it makes sense for Dragon Ball itself to like kind of ascend to like Budokai Tenkaichi's like format. I think that makes sense.
yeah, because it's also like I've said before, and so many people also agree. When you look at Tenkaichi, anyone who talks about what is the best arena fighter or battle arena game you can think of, everyone said Tenkaichi. Like Tenkaichi to me is the example of what a battle arena game should be.
Mm.
Like it is what it should strive to be because it's not like say like in other games like that's like because I like battle arena games, like they're fun but not much to a competitive degree these days, but in Tenkaichi it's a bit different.
Like there
Like
was competitive like play in that one.
oh my God, is there competitive play in Tenkaichi?
My God.
Like
Okay.
like
Okay.
yeah, people would do tons of combos in Tenkaichi. And
Okay. Okay.
that's why I think that that's something they're going to take into consideration. They've really got. It's just the big thing at the end of the day of all I'm saying is I'm very excited. I think they're going to get it right. I hope they get it right. I just hope they realize the expectations that they have to meet with this.
No, that's understandable. We don't know who's developing this one, right?
I do not know if it's the original developers because
They might be able to do it, but if it's anyone else, I think the only like folks that would be very specific on that like level of detail would probably just be Arc System Works.
either
But
them or CyberConnect.
yeah, that or CyberConnect, right? But I don't know if Arc Systems like would be down for that because that doesn't seem like their Pacific like card
Especially because
or their kit.
if you look on the boxes of all the Tenkaichi games, a tiny little company,
Tiny little
a
company.
tiny, a tiny little company on the side of the box that you don't really see much anymore.
Hmm.
If you know what I'm talking about.
I'd have to. Actually, I don't know.
So look up Tenkaichi and then look at the game cover and look in the bottom right corner and tell me what you see there.
Okay. Budokai, I think. Okay. Wait. Oh shoot. I'll just look at DangIT 4, look at the image for the box art. Not the Make Believe ones.
Oh, there's no Tenkaichi 4 box art yet.
Yeah. So I should probably just like go for 3 and see what happens. On the side.
Bottom right.
That might be a little too small for me to see, but look at the PlayStation 2 cover. Does that really say Atari?
Atari. When is the last time you heard Atari?
Bruh, like when I was just a child.
As you already say, like, last time I heard Atari, I was giving you Atari.
I don't think. Yeah, I don't think they're in the business anymore.
Like, that was what I would hear all the time. Like, you know, when you start up in a game that had Atari back in the day, like on the GameCube or something, you'd always hear Atari.
My God.
That's why I was like, there might be an issue there.
There might be a little tiny issue about that. Although, one of the developers is what was it, Spike Chunsoft, which
I believe Spike Chunsoft is still in.
yeah, like I usually hear Chunsoft from like what was it, the Somnium Files? That's one of the more recent works. And they're also working with like Raincode, that one game that's kind of like a spin-off from the why am I blanking on the name? Oh, Danganronpa.
Oh yeah. Also, I'm looking here. I guess Atari's still active.
Oh.
Because their Twitter, they have a Twitter, and it's still posting stuff. It's still active.
But is anything new though?
They do a lot of retro stuff currently,
which I guess makes sense. I couldn't even fault them on that one.
Is that they used to be more in the mainstream. It's like Atari used to be a big competitor in the video game console.
Yeah.
Industry. But that was back in the retro days.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm trying to think, like, what was the last big Atari console? Atari announced a successful fundraising effort to Atari VCS run rate production rhythm and plan on the first quarter. So they released a console in 2021. Pardon me, everyone. I'm just doing some research real quick.
Yeah, me too. Actually, no, I'm looking at something different entirely. I'm gonna be honest. While we're looking at this, I was also getting like this side tangent thought of like, you know, I was at Best Buy the other day and I've been noticing when they had that like aisle for like, you know, the Logitech G Cloud, it's like that old like thing that I talked about that was just like a specifically streaming only type of like thing of like hardware from Logitech, which can also do like things like play through the Android store or like do some emulations here and there. But that's like, it was expensive. It was $350. I was like, man, why would, and then I see like the fact that like it still kind of sells and I'm like, that's weird. Why is it actually selling? But it's giving me this like feeling of I should go grab it, but it's $350. Like, and I keep like playing in the back of my head, like for $50 extra, you can literally get this Steam Deck, which literally plays everything, including like streaming related stuff too. So I was like,
my family had the Atari 2600 plug-and play joystick. We had that.
Whoa.
Like the one that you plug into the TV and just play.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, we had that, and that's how I got to play a lot of classic games when I was younger. Is those little joystick things? Was you just plug into the TV with the old AV cords?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
like I did that. We had that one, and we had another arcade one that had like Dig Dug, Pac-Man, all
Dig
that kind of
Dug. Yeah.
Dig Dug was a classic.
Real quick aside, like, I'm sorry, I'm only doing this because I'm just looking at the Steam Deck again. I was like, like it is $400 just for like the base model, and that's not bad. But to literally go up the next tier is like $530. Was like, oh, whoa, That's a huge jump.
Beef.
But for that storage though,
Beef.
so yeah, sorry, that was what I was looking at, and this all kind of like got prompted by the Logitech G Cloud just being as ridiculous as it is. I think the reason I was thinking about getting the G Cloud was because I wanted to like make a video, but that'd be a pricey video, and that'd just be for like a future project to disclose later. But yeah, I was just thinking about that. I was like, no, that's not really worth it. I have a couple other like things of gadgets to talk about for sure. That probably won't be one of those. Yeah, even for me, there's a certain limit.
Yeah, because I mean, there's a lot of like, there's two. Like, if I had to say, like, the two companies that weren't able to stay in the video game market industry,
yeah.
that were there for forever.
Mm-hmm.
One of them was Atari. Do you know what the other one was?
Let me think. So one of them was there was Atari, and then wait, is it Konami?
No, Konami never. I don't think Konami ever.
Yeah,
made
they never made consoles. I think Sega.
Ding ding ding.
Yeah, there we go.
Like Sega tried. Like the Dreamcast was actually a pretty great system. It just flopped.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, I think some people forget this. Like, any of you young ones out there who don't really know, any of you youngins. I mean, I'm not that old. I'm not even 30 yet. But you gotta understand that I had what pioneered the actual discs for video games. It was indeed the Sega Dreamcast. The Sega Dreamcast was the world's first laser disc.
Mm.
Like, before then, every other console was using cartridges.
Mm-hmm.
And Dreamcast was the first one to say, "Hey, what if we use a disc?"
It was something else. They were really onto something.
That and the Dreamcast also had online play.
And then Nintendo's like, "That's cool. We'll try it." You know what? Matter of fact, let's just go with cartridges again.
Yeah, Nintendo did discs with the GameCube.
Well, the GameCube, the Wii, the Wii U, but like since the Switch, they're like, yeah, let's downscale the size of that thing.
And my goodness, the GameCube discs were so tiny.
They were really tiny. I gotta admire that at the very least.
Although it's always hilarious to put a GameCube disc in the Wii and just see the little disc just get swallowed up.
Yeah, and you can't help but feel like, is it aligned right? Like, how are they gonna put it in the exact spot if we could just insert the disc at any portion right there?
I would just imagine that they said, "All right, let's put a thing in here." So when it takes when you put the disc into the tray, okay, this is a big disc, the big holder. Ding! Oh, it's a little disc holder.
It'd be kind of cool to see like a teardown and see like, okay, this is like how it would pick up like this type of game. You would just have it like, you would have it specifically like put to the epicenter so you could at least read that disc.
I always wondered that myself. I was like, does it just have one disc holder?
I
was like, does it have one disc holder, or does it just have like two?
Maybe like different types of grooves depending on it. Like they probably consider that. Like, we want to make it backwards compatible for this one, so we're just gonna need a specific like GameCube size like disc tray, or like something to help like fit it to that, so it can be under the same reader.
Every GameCube disc was about the size of your average pizza bagel.
Pizza bagel? I wasn't even thinking about that.
I thought about it. I was like, what's the size of a GameCube disc? A pizza bagel.
Oh, I'm trying to remember. There was other discs that were kind of like that. I think the closest thing were probably anything like from PSP.
Yeah, PSP discs were. Well, the PSP discs also worked differently.
Yeah,
because they would come in those like, because they weren't just like discs. Yeah. They were in those like the white thing.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Like, that's like, they didn't just come as like a flat out disc. You'd insert them in that while they're inside that little white thing.
Yeah.
It's like a sleeve, basically.
It's like a sleeve for the disc that all like gets compartmentalized like into the PSP itself, and I guess it's just to hold it, and like it'll still read the disc as usual, but it won't really make like that much contact.
Basically.
Yeah, something like that. Oh, they came up with some crazy stuff.
Yeah, like the PlayStation and Nintendo definitely were doing some innovation back in the day.
Hmm.
N- Sony not really doing. I wouldn't say Sony does that much innovation like these days in terms not as much as they used to.
Right.
I think Sony definitely does contribute to the games industry, but I just don't think they do as much. I think Nintendo is definitely probably more still being innovative.
Yeah, but I guess like I think there's two sides of all of them in the sense that like I think both like companies and of course Xbox is also included as well with
Oh,
this. The fact that
Xbox has been very innovative in the games industry as of
yeah,
recent.
as far as like people's like interactions like with game, like whether even just be like a regular transaction, like a lot of that is can be done. All of that can really just be done digitally, and not even talking about like backwards compatibility or anything like that, but just like downloading games like is like except for Nintendo is like a priority. Like you still
Yeah,
have to do that.
and I've told you like the before like my thing right now with PlayStation. I've noticed this about all the games that are hits for PlayStation right now, and
Hmm.
I've pointed this out to you. They're all third-person perspective cinematic adventure games.
I think nowadays, yeah, it's just
Like
like
if you like, I don't think anyone. I don't know if anyone just realizes that until someone points it out to them. Because I noticed that I was like, does anyone else just realize that all these games are pretty much just the same genre, just different stories?
I wouldn't say same genre, but no, you're right. I think you're really onto that.
Like not genre, obviously. Like one's
Right.
sci-fi, one's
One,
fantasy.
one's like
What I
just
mean is like,
yeah,
what I mean is like the same formula.
yeah. And I can't really knock him for that, especially if it like helps
Yeah,
like
just don't fix what ain't broke.
yeah. Because I think there's a market for like cinematic looking type of games. It's kind of what sells, what kind of especially in this era where video games are a lot more accepted to be like played amongst like different ages and whatnot, especially now, to like really reel people in to that kind of like ecosystem and like have people invest in that, and this is what you end up getting. And you just have like this. I'm just gonna go with God of War Ragnarok for example, like this quality of a game that like literally stands out amongst like a whole like mesh, but at the same time it does like in comparison to say like Uncharted at the time, or even Last of Us at that point. Um,
Also, both of those third-person cinematic adventure game.
it, it's it's definitely cinematic as far as like how you see it for sure. Of course, the genres are like slightly different in that case. Well, they are different, but yeah,
Yeah,
I get what
like
you mean though.
obviously all their stories are different. They're all good games. My only argument is just that it seems to be their niche.
Hmm.
It's kind of like how they would make jokes about Xbox for having a lot of shooters. For them,
Hmm.
it seems that they have developed their own niche, which is PlayStation has a lot of cinematic action.
Hmm.
And it's all from the same perspective of a third person camera.
Yeah, it's gonna
And
be interesting to see like how they evolve as well if they ever do, because you know, like I think there's just more like out there now, especially like with indie developers like in the scene, just really taking like these ideas that have like been implanted in the past and really recreating them, reinventing them, and becoming something that's much more widely acceptable or like much more loved in like than the past. And the only thing that they're lacking is really just the budget to make them cinematic experiences.
basically, and I mean, they're working. Like, and on top of that, a lot of games these days are becoming cinematic.
Hmm.
My only issue with because here's what they said before. I've just noticed the roles have switched, and some people might disagree with me on this, and that's fair. I understand. But let's take a look at Xbox a few years ago and PlayStation a few years ago. People complained there was not enough variety in Xbox games, and back then I could see why they'd say that. PlayStation did have a nice. PlayStation did have a nice variety with like say like Knack, Killzone, and like all the other types of games that they had like you know Infamous.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Like they had a good variety, but fast forward to today, I feel like you're gonna find a lot more variety in the Xbox games now than you would in the PlayStation games.
I would believe that so too, because especially like this year too. I think Hi-Fi Rush really like stands out as like a game where it's like there's a lot of polish on that game.
Oh, Hi-Fi Rush fucking slaps. And
Uh,
like that's not to say that any of the PlayStation. I'm not saying the PlayStation games are bad. I'm not saying that at all.
mhm.
I'm just saying that I just noticed that while the games are good, they are they there is no arguing that they are not good. They are great games.
Mhm.
But my argument is just that they all appear to be made in a
Similarly, yeah.
similarly. Yes, it's kind of like, okay, we're gonna take the same base model, we're gonna change up maybe a couple of the mechanics, and we're gonna change the setting.
So I mean, like you can really count a lot of like their, especially when you take it like as like part of their whole like conglomerate like PlayStation I forget what the exact name for it, but it's like something
PlayStation,
that's
PlayStation Studios.
yes, where like you see like the banner of all the characters like in the respective like universes like being part of something. So and you can really count them like from one hand. So like obviously Ratchet and Clank is like in there, Horizon Zero Dawn, Spider-Man's also included there, and they're kind of similar, those three. They may not be like God of War
I
or
would say Ratchet and Clank. I would give the most like different
I guess so, yeah, because yeah,
because
it functions entirely different.
it plays a lot different. Like it's not. I wouldn't say it's like I would put Horizon also in the same place as like Last of Us and God of War.
Oh yeah,
I would say so. Wouldn't you say that's kind of like another thing similar, like cinematic third person?
yeah, you could say that. I was really focusing on like exactly where the camera gets fixated, like exactly
Oh yeah, if we're
like.
talking if we're talking third person camera, then of course Ratchet and Clank and Spider Man would fall into that as well.
Hmm.
But I mean, third person perspective is not wrong. I like third person games. Like they're great.
Hmm. But yeah, I feel like when you look at like Last of Us and God of War, God of War is a little bit more fixated on that camera. Um, but it feels like as far as like your experience with those games, like God of War and Last of Us seem like very close to each other. Like you're right in there. And granted, like with Horizon, it's also the same thing too. But like for the most part, when you're out and exploring, because it's an open world, similar to Spider-Man, a little bit like Ratchet and Clank. There's not much like open worldness over there per se, but it is like they kind of have the camera specifically set up so you have much more ability to just kind of look around and move here and there.
Yeah,
I'm pretty.
that's why I just think that it's silly when people say that Xbox doesn't have any good games, but I'm like, okay,
I think
but
yeah.
or they try to say like Xbox doesn't have much variety. I'd be like, I don't think anyone could say that nowadays, honestly, because I feel like while the PlayStation games are good,
Mhm.
it could be argued in a sense there's not much variety.
I don't know. I wish I had like another perspective on like Xbox because I kind of grew up with the Xbox alongside Nintendo. So
I grew up
uh,
with everything.
like when it comes to PlayStation, like I think it's because they're probably saying like exclusive titles per se. Because like literally a lot of, like third party games just like show up on everything. You know.
Oh yeah, but I mean, even then, if we're going with exclusives, then even then, I would still say, yeah, I think Xbox is currently more in terms of like. Granted, you could say, well, I like PlayStation exclusives better. That's fair, completely fair.
Hmm.
However, if you were to tell me that PlayStation exclusives have more variety than the Xbox exclusives, I would very much disagree.
I think also like the debate with like the console wars and whatnot. Not trying to like unearth that again, but it's different now, like way different as far as like the conversation because Xbox got Game Pass. Like whenever we talk about like the benefits of Xbox, you always have to include Game Pass because it's so integrated into the experience. You can do without it, but all at the same time, like why not?
It's like with especially like when the PlayStation did their own version of Game Pass with the PlayStation Premium.
It's true that, and they are still kind of doing that, just not as well promoted.
Wasn't PlayStation Premium like wildly expensive?
Yeah, they have different tiers now. So, and I'm not sure if PlayStation Plus or whatever it was that does the same Game Pass stuff. I'm not sure if that's where that gets included with all that. I might have to look at that up. I do kind of miss the handheld era, but only because, like, you know, I was there to see it, and it's like,
I
oh,
mean, same. I was there in the handheld era. It's just the fact of, I don't know. I just think that the way we enjoy games these days, I just think that it's hard to get a handheld device that can handle it,
mm-hmm.
like handle like the level of quality games that we're used to having these days.
Oh man, there's this image that they share. It's a great illustration too about like the amazing heroines on like PlayStation. They just have like a whole like shot of like more recent characters like Aloy. They have a few couple people from like Last of Us. Obviously, God of War is also included there, but they also have like on the side they have like one of like the folks from Bloodborne. They also have Gravity Rush as well included, and that one like just one representative from what was it, Detroit Become Human, and also Sackboy. It's like,
Detroit Become Human was just an interactive movie.
yes, but it was also like it was different because of that too.
I know. I was like, don't get me wrong, it was good, but at the same time, when you look at it, it's like this really was just a movie with options.
Yeah, I mean that's not my cup of tea, but like obviously there's definitely like an audience for it.
Oh, of course, there's an audience for it. I mean, like, that's why I'm curious to see what they're going to be doing with Eclipse for Star Wars. I was like, so is this going to be like, because I know it's from the same developers. I was like, can I actually play this game, or is this going to be more of my only gameplay is I get to choose what happens?
Is this Telltale's to that like extent? There's nothing wrong with those, by the by. That's just like simply like my thing. Um, okay, if I recall correctly, I'm under like the Essentials plan for PlayStation, which is like them giving like the monthly games. But there's nothing about um, hmm, what's the game catalog all about? I'm just looking on their main website. Um, yeah, and you know, I don't think they don't really highlight it too much versus Xbox will like literally plaster like Game Pass everywhere you look.
Game Pass, Game Pass, Game Pass.
So yeah, it might even take me a while just to find exactly what I'm looking for. Um, I guess you could say that like their quote unquote game catalog is like what that is. They also have like a classics catalog too.
Right, and also right now, Halo Infinite just got its season 3, and honestly, it's improving.
That's good to hear. I saw a
Like,
little bit of that. I was like, that's good. Well, that is like obviously one of the IPs that like you kind of want to like put focus on because even though, as Phil Spencer said too, that like you know, Halo isn't like the entirety of like Microsoft and Xbox.
but it is it's
Yeah,
very much a mainstay.
yeah. It's their first person shooter.
Yeah, Halo. I'd argue that Chief is the face of Xbox. Like if I was to pick a character from every Microsoft series, which one do I think represents Xbox at its
Mm.
purest at the peak? It's Halo. It's Master Chief.
Is the
Like
chief.
he is the representative of the Xbox because he is one of the oldest and most beloved characters of the entire console.
Mm-hmm. And currently, the latest like or to yeah, the more latest to keep a consistent appearance. Like
And not only that, the story right now for the seasons, it's getting pretty. I'm interested.
okay, okay. It's kind of harder to distinguish like what's considered like the first party for Xbox since like they do kind of split it up with like Game Pass PC. And when you make it to PC, then also like it becomes part of Steam, which I mean that's a whole discussion for like elsewhere too. as far as like,
I'd also crack that up to when people say like, well, is it Xbox exclusive? Then I would say consider it Microsoft exclusive.
yeah, I would say so, because you could also say, you can say the same thing about like PlayStation exclusive showing up on Steam. It's still like a console exclusive in that sense. Which, okay, yeah, that makes sense. But yeah, I guess the thing is like like you can't really make those arguments. Oh, well, I guess you could make those arguments for like
I mean, you
certain.
could.
I mean, you could. It's one of those things where like Nintendo has these games, Xbox has these games, PlayStation has these games. And granted, you could still kind of hold like the argument like with that, because obviously Nintendo has like its first parties and they are never going anywhere else unless
No, no, they are not.
they will not budge. They won't even entertain PC. Well, and then like Xbox and PlayStation definitely just allow that to be a thing.
Well, PlayStation recently allowed it.
Right. PlayStation is just kind of doing its own thing, and if they got the money to do it, then they can do that. And then Xbox is obviously like kind of trying to achieve its own like ideals as far as like accessibility, while also giving people a reason to like subscribe to like what they're doing. In that case, it's mainly Game Pass, from what you can see. But yeah, yeah, it's like it's interesting when I look at like Xbox, and this is like just me kind of like just putting it out there, is the fact that, like, whenever I think about Xbox, I think about like obviously Game Pass, and I think about like, is that like that game's on Game Pass? Is it available elsewhere as well? And the answer is typically yes. So
Well, it's only available one other place most of the time.
one other place, yeah. So it's like, like, well, obviously Game Pass is a good incentive for that kind of stuff for sure. And I kind of want to like dig deeper into like that kind of stuff as far as it talks like because it starts to meld together, like, unless you know about like those specific ones like Hi-Fi Rush and I guess Gears of War as well in that talk. And you think about like Halo, like, for certain like those are actually like under
Halo.
Xbox. Also Atomic Heart, is Atomic Heart also one of them?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah, it would also be considered that. But then you look at like, well, not Guilty Gear really. Is Wolong? Yeah, Wolong is actually multi-platform, I believe. So
It is, but I believe it was made by an Xbox studio.
yeah, so it gets kind of confusing because you can't really like think of it like so like straightforward as like Xbox has these games while PlayStation does it. It's like, no, they have some that split off, but it's like it's made by a developer from Xbox, so it's like it's kind of weird.
Yeah, it's made by Team Ninja, which is owned by Xbox.
Right. So it's like it's interesting. Like it starts to like melt together. It becomes a gray area.
And I mean, take this for example, like
Except for Nintendo.
The team that worked on Wulong, it was a collaboration. Like two of the main people working on it had worked on the Neo series, NIOH Neo and Ninja Gaiden. So it's like, oh man, you got two people who made some games that are very famous. Like Ninja Gaiden, I like Ninja Gaiden. I've played the collection. It's very, very good. And I mean, there are rumors that it's coming back.
What, Ninja Gaiden?
Yeah, I've heard rumors that Gaiden might be making a return.
Oh,
And take for example like Crysis. Crysis has already been Crysis. Like Crytek confirmed that they're making a new Crysis.
That's wild.
So I'm just like, yeah, a lot of old stuff is starting to come back.
So yeah, I think it's one of those things where like, if you pick one, like obviously I think Nintendo still like holds itself like pretty high just because it has like a lot of IPs that will not budge to other platforms whatsoever. So you have to
literally anything.
So legally you have to like play like through like their console. That's how they get you with that. And also the fact is that like it's a hybrid console, so there's a lot of appeal for like everybody on that one. But when it comes to like Xbox versus PlayStation, in my mind, it just feels like they are just trying to just work with what they got and just try to appeal as best they can to their like made audience. And I think Xbox just is a little bit more open when it comes to like just Game Pass as a whole, because at that point, and they made that argument. They just want you to be part of their ecosystem in some like facet.
Yeah, it's also because like I mean think about it right now. Xbox and Microsoft as a whole now spans so much further than just a console.
Yeah, it's so wild.
It's a network at this point.
Right, which is why like I guess that's why it started like that's why I was thinking about like the Logitech G Cloud, because that's not the console itself, it's just streaming, like the service, which is now more widespread. And we were talking about like smart TVs literally incorporating that too. So I like that. And I'm just really curious as to where they're going to go with that. Or like what will Xbox and Microsoft look like after all that is said and done. And, you know, I think PlayStation still kind of keeps it relatively traditional. I know that they had the VR stuff showing up. So that's definitely an interesting like step in one direction. Although I can't really get behind that pricing. But apparently it's really good though. Just maybe not the library per se. Maybe they just need to cook for that. But yeah, this is really interesting. I think, I think there's just a lot of game library stuff to cover, and I think what's supplemented with each of them, whether it be Game Pass or PlayStation Plus, or really the NSO on Nintendo, like they're kind of like appealing towards like the older audience. I know that Xbox also had like a sale going on like last week as well, so it's like it's crazy, and a lot of those were like of like prior generations too. So, and of course, like, you know, what was it? I just saw the title for it on PlayStation. I think Legend of the Dragoon was one of them, and people got excited for that one too. So I think they're just slowly like appealing to everybody from different generations too. And at this point, like, I don't know if there's like one console that's better than the other. It's more like each one has kind of like a different like approach
Like,
these days.
I mean, nowadays it's like what I said it should be, which is what's your preference?
Yeah, what is your preference? What like whatever
What do you feel?
yeah, what you feeling?
Like what console? What console is like? Yeah, I'm feeling this one.
Mhm.
Which is how it should be.
This is true. But I do feel like more games should just be accessible across all the platforms too, if possible. If it isn't a first party type of thing, then
we just want to play with our friends.
Yeah. And now I'm immediately thinking about Octopath Traveler 2, making absolutely no sense on like the release. Because PlayStation never got Octopath 1. They now have Octopath 2. Xbox has Octopath 1. They aren't getting Octopath 2. What is that nonsense? Why are they doing that? Well, actually, granted, I think Octopath 2 will come in later for like Xbox. I think that's gonna be a thing. But for PlayStation, I don't know if they're ever gonna get Octopath 1. I'm not sure if that works the same way. But man, dude, that's also pretty wild. But alrighty. I think we're good on talks. But yeah. Mark, is there anything else you want to talk about before we go ahead and call?
I think we've gone on long enough.
Alright, fair enough. In that case, we'll go ahead and call it here. Thank you guys so much for tuning in for this episode of DangIT Prodcast. It's been episode 450. My name is Justin.
Fuck.
And thanks for watching, everybody. #bye, everyone.